IT, please count us in. Mr. Mayor, we're live.
Thank you very much, Madam Clerk. I'd like to welcome everybody to the council meeting of Wednesday, April 10th, 2024. Before we read the land acknowledgement, I'd like to do a couple of housekeeping matters. Please ensure that your cell phones are turned off for those in chamber. And any members of the public, when being called to the podium to speak, could you please adjust the mic so that you're speaking into it as the meeting is being live streamed for those watching at home. The Township of Oro-Medonte acknowledges that we are situated on the traditional land of the Anishinaabe people, the ancestral territory of the Huron-Wendat. The Anishinaabe include the Odawa, the Ojibwe, the Potawatomi nations, collectively known as the Three Fires Confederacy. It continues today as the home for diverse Indigenous peoples, including the historic Métis community in Penetangwishing. The Anishinaabe people continue to have an enduring relationship with this land, specifically the Chippewas of Rama First Nations, the Chippewa Tri-Council, and the William Treaties First Nations. The Huron-Wendat Nation also continues to pay respect and protect their ancestors and heritage on this land. We honor the Indigenous history and culture that has thrived for millennia in this territory and the treaties that bind us together as partners in the spirit of the shared, sustainable, and prosperous future. We are all treaty people. Our commitment begins with acknowledging the truth so that we can move forward together towards reconciliation. Madam Clerk, may we have a motion to adopt the agenda, please?
Moved by Bard, seconded by Hutchison. Be it resolved that the agenda for the council meeting of Wednesday, April 10th, 2024 be received and adopted.
All in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Are there any disclosures of pecuniary interest at this time? I see none. May we have a motion to go into closed session, Madam Clerk?
Moved by Young, seconded by Lavoie. Be it resolved that we do now go into closed session at 3:04 p.m. to discuss proposed or pending acquisition or disposition of land by the municipality or local board, decommissioned fire halls, 1904 Oldbury Road East, Rugby, 375 Line 11 South, Hawkstone, and personal matters about an identifiable individual, CAO recruitment/negotiations.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. I'll call the vote. All in favor? Opposed? And that is carried. We'll see everyone in closed.
Mr. Mayor, we are live.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. May we have a motion to rise from closed session, please?
Moved by Clark, seconded by Hutchison. Be it resolved that we do now rise at 5:22 p.m. and report on the closed session items 4C, Yvonne Aubuchon Clerk, proposed and pending acquisition or disposition of land by the municipality or local board, decommissioned fire halls, 1904 Old Berry Road East, Rugby, 375 Line 11 South, Hawkstone. D, Council personal matters about an identifiable individual, CAO recruitment negotiations.
Okay. You've heard the motion. All in favor? Opposed? That is carried, Madam Clerk. And before we move forward, I just want to announce that Councillor Schell had to deal with a family matter and unfortunately cannot make today's meeting. May we have a motion for item 4C emanating from closed, Madam Clerk?
Moved by Bard, seconded by Young. Be it resolved that the confidential verbal information presented by Yvonne Aubuchon Clerk, proposed or pending acquisition or disposition of land by the municipality or local board, decommissioned fire halls, 1904 Old Berry Road East, Rugby, 375 Line 11 South, Hawkstone, be received. That the confidential verbal information presented by Blair Smith and Tim Hewitt of Smith and Hewitt Real Estate Team, 375 Line 11 South, be received. That staff proceed as directed by council.
All in favor? Opposed? That is carried. And may we have a motion for item 4D, please?
Moved by Hutchison, seconded by Clark. Be it resolved that the confidential information presented by council, personal matters about an identifiable individual, CAO recruitment negotiations, be received. That human resources staff be advised to proceed accordingly as directed by council.
Call the vote. All in favor? Opposed? And that is carried. And now may we have a motion for the 7 sets of minutes, Madam Clerk?
Moved by Lavoie, seconded by Bard. Be it resolved that the draft minutes of special council meeting held on Wednesday, March 20th, 2024, minutes of special council meeting held on Monday, March 25th, 2024, minutes of council meeting held on Wednesday, March 27th, 2024, minutes of special council meeting held on Wednesday, April 3rd, 2024, be received and adopted as printed and circulated, and that the draft minutes of Heritage Committee meeting held on Monday, March 18th, 2024, be received, and that the recommendation therein per motion number HC 240318-4 be adopted, and that the draft minutes of Traffic Safety Advisory Committee meeting held on Thursday, March 21st, 2024 be received, and that the recommendation therein per motion number TSAC 240321-3 be adopted, and that the minutes of the Joint Accessibility Advisory Committee on Tuesday, March 19th, 2024 be received.
Members of council, are there any amendments to the draft minutes? Seeing none, for the Heritage Committee, are there any questions or comments in respect to the recommendations per motion 4? Seeing none, for the Traffic Safety Advisory Committee, are there any questions, comments with respect to the recommendations per motion number 3 as noted? Seeing none, are there any comments with respect to the draft motion? Seeing none, then I'll call the vote. All in favor? Opposed? That is carried. We have no recognitions of achievements on the agenda this week. No public meetings. Deputations, we have none. Is any member present that would need an item moved up in the agenda? Seeing none. Open forum, Madam Clerk, have we received any registrations for open forum from the public?
No, Mr. Mayor, we have not.
Is there anyone in chamber who would like to speak to any agenda items? Seeing none. That brings us to item 11A, reports of municipal officers for action. May we have a draft motion, Madam Clerk, for?
Moved by Young, seconded by Hutchison. Be it resolved that FES 2024-01, Ralph Dominelli, Executive Staff Officer / Fire Chief. Re, proposed amendments to fire and fees and charges bylaw be received and adopted. That Council supports the changes recommended in FES 2024-01. That staff bring forward the changes in the appropriate bylaw amendment for Council's consideration.
Okay, so Council, I'll open the floor for discussions or comments on the report. Councillor Young.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. Chief, just on page 3 under the alarms systems, it talks about the first alarm, second alarm, third alarm, and all subsequent false alarms. Should that be within the 12 months? It's just indicating with.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, that'd be correct, within the 12 months.
I realize this is not the legal document, it's just a report, but
I appreciate that.
and because it mentions it further on as well, at some point later on. Just want a comment on the volunteer fire service that this council, certainly myself, should fully support the volunteers wherever we can financially and morally. And I was glad to see that much of the revenue perhaps generated from alarm systems and other is going to go towards the training and certification of the volunteer firefighters. But like I said, they certainly deserve, given their mandate, our full support of this council, financially and otherwise.
Thank you, Councillor Young. Any other comments or questions? Councillor Hutchison.
Thank you, Mayor, through you to Chief Dominelli. First of all, thank you so much for this extensive report and recommendations based on the findings of the KPMG report earlier this year. I'm really impressed with the speed and the thoroughness of the report in its delivery and in its content. I do have one question with regard to the recommendation of a $10 fee for open air fire permit. I know currently we do have a permit system which is free of charge for our residents. So I'd like for you, if you don't mind, just to give us a bit of context as to perhaps what the cost of our current system is for permitting, and how this will help to recover those costs. And secondly, maybe some explanation of comparators around the Oro-Medonte area. Thank you.
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, the cost for the burn permit app that we have that's through the website it costs us approximately $4,500 just for the app itself. And then if you put in the man hours to respond back and approve permits that come through the system. Again, I don't have that number, but it does take time from our fire prevention people to approve the permits and keep the system going. We did do a comparative of 9 other fire departments surrounding us, and I can say that we have only 2 that currently don't charge out of the 9. They do have an open air burning bylaw, and if you do not conform to the bylaw, you get fined under their establishing bylaw and their fees bylaw. So we do have, from the lowest is 1 at 15, but my understanding it's going to council to move up to $21 per permit. And we have as high as $40 and per permit for the year. And we do have one municipality that has $17.25 for 30-day permit, $33 for a 90-day permit, and a $66 for a 180-day permit. So we figured the $10 will recoup our cost, and again go towards helping, with the certification and other training that's required for our staff.
Thank you very much, Chief Dominelli. Any other questions this time? Seeing none, no, and I do respect, I know people, it's not a cash grab, and I appreciate the fact that, you know, you could have started the permit at $25 or higher, but we do want to try and recover those costs rather than, you know, put more cost upon the fire department. But I appreciate that, and thank you very much for the report and all the great work you've done. So, seeing that, you've heard the motion. I'll call the vote. All in favor? Opposed? And that is carried. May we have a draft motion for item 11B, Madam Clerk?
Moved by Clark, seconded by Bard. Be it resolved that OCS 2024-13, Sean Binns, Director of Operations and Community Services, Ree Township, and Simcoe County District School Board Partnership, co-ownership and development agreement be received and adopted. That Council approve the final draft co-ownership and development agreement with the Simcoe County District School Board, and that staff bring forward the appropriate bylaw to execute the agreement.
Okay, so at this time, Mr. Binns and Mr. Velbloom is, I don't know if Mr. Velbloom, is he connecting electronically, or is, I know we're maybe running a little behind time, so Mr. Binns.
Through you, Mayor Greenlaw, Mr. Velbloom had another file that he had to deal with, so he's not with us. I'd be happy to answer any questions specific to the agreement, or could proceed with a high-level overview.
Yeah, if you wish. I think for those watching at home and in the gallery, a high-level overview would be appreciated, and then if there's any questions from members of council, we can pick it up from there.
Thank you, Mayor Greenlaw, through you to council and those watching at home. This project dates back to 2017, and as you can see in the report, there's been a number of checkpoints, and the scope has really evolved over the past number of years to get us to this point. I think as council and the community is aware, we have started construction of the project. Construction's moving along quite well. The project is a partnership structured with the Simcoe County District School Board on township-owned lands at 739 Horseshoe Valley Road. On December 20th, Council received the last update report, which provided an overview of the procurement of the project and the project budget. The township's component was just under $8.5 million to complete the project. At the same meeting, Council did receive a confidential overview of the legal agreement. This agreement mirrors the agreement presented back in December, and we're bringing that back forward in the public venue for ratification. So the intent of the report, as I mentioned, is to ratify the agreement. The project is structured as a tenants in common approach, so it's a shared title on the property, and then the township has distinct ownership of its components, and the school board has distinct ownership of its components. And as I've mentioned in previous meetings, that structure I think is ideal to manage a partnership over the long term, recognizing that there'll be a number of changes over the life of the building. So that's really what the co-ownership and development agreement identifies as how the project will be managed, who's responsible for what, the financial elements and how they're split, how major decisions for things like change orders that impact both parties, or future changes like things like an addition being put on that impacts another party, how those decisions are made. So there is an extensive agreement to that end. There is a financial contribution from the school board to the township, which is 50% of the appraised value of 1.7, just over $1.7 million. So as you can see on page 3 of the report, we do break down the overall kind of financial structure of the project. A big portion of the construction costs do relate to the site costs, as well as the construction of the septic system. This agreement does provide a governance overview as well, in terms of how, as I mentioned, those major decisions are going to be managed. And the financial elements. The operational agreement has to do with the day-to-day operations. So it'll deal with major decisions as well, things like who decides when a roof is going to be replaced, some of those components, and things along the lines of policy application as it relates to the shared elements. So what policies apply when the township permits the half of the gym from the school, and vice versa. So it's more operational in nature, and we do have a draft of that will be coming before council in the near future. So that's really a high-level overview, Mayor Greenlaw, members of council, of the agreement. As I mentioned, I do believe this is the best structure to manage the project over the long term. There's been a number of pieces to get us to this point, and we are playing catch up a little bit with the project being under construction, trying to address some of the formalities. I neglected to mention as well, I think, again, some of the benefits of the partnership, and for us from a project management perspective, being able to leverage some of the strengths of the school board. The agreement does identify that the board will be responsible of some of the administrative aspects of the drinking water systems and its requirements for the MOE, the sewage system, and the storm system. And certainly, having worked through the project over the past number of months, having the board's project staff has been a huge asset to the municipality. So that's an overview of the legal agreement, the co-ownership and development agreement. Happy to take any questions.
Thank you very much, Mr. Benz. I will open the floor now for questions or comments from members of council. Councillor Clark.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you to Sean, and I guess to the floor. I just thank you. This has obviously been a long time coming. I think it will greatly benefit the community for years to come, from both having the appropriate school close to the population center, but also having another forum in which the community can engage with the township and its resources. So thank you so much. Obviously, it's been a very, very long haul, but brighter days ahead.
Thank you.
Thank you for those comments. Any other comments at this time? I guess in the absence, I know Councillor Shell sent an email out, and I just wanted to make sure we have full clarity on this, Mr. Binns. He asked about the user agreement. So I take it the user agreement is very similar to the operations agreement, which is forthcoming down the road, correct?
That is correct, Mayor Greenlaw.
Okay, perfect, thank you. Okay, so if there's no other comments or questions at this time, I'll call the vote. All in favor? Opposed? That is carried. And may we now have a draft motion for item 11C, Madam Clerk?
Moved by Lavoie, seconded by Clark. Be it resolved that CS 2024-09, Yvonne Aubuchon Clerk and Robin Dunn, CAO, re-acquisition of Moonstone Garage lands be received and adopted. That the Mayor and Clerk be authorized to execute the transfer of land documents pertaining to part of Lot 16, Concession 9, as in RO 183148, Oro-Medonte, being all of PIN 58519-0109, land titles, and Moonstone Garage lands, in brackets.
Perfect. Any questions? Councillor Young.
Thank you, Mayor. Sean, Mr. Binns, what are the long-term plans for that, the yards up there?
Through you, Mayor Greenlaw, to Councillor Young. Good question. We're in the process of sorting through what the accommodation plan would look like. As I mentioned in previous discussions around budget and some of the pressures, space planning, or accommodation pressures rather, are a fairly significant issue for us as we continue to grow. So both the north yard and the south yard are the original yards pre-amalgamation, but yet our team has probably doubled, if not more, in size over the last little bit. So this does give us the flexibility. We have been using the sand dome, as Ms. Aubuchon identified in her report. Covered structure in reasonably good shape. The existing building is in poor condition and would need to be demolished essentially. But it does give us the flexibility to be able to expand quite easily and take advantage of some of the existing facilities that exist there.
Any, Councillor Clark?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you to Sean and or possibly Nelly. We've had a note on our financial statement regarding the upload of the provincial, the uploading to county of the municipal waste services. And obviously now we're executing a land swap. Would that potentially mitigate our need for that continuing note saying that there's unsettled business between the county and the municipality as it relates to the waste management services from yesteryear?
I believe CAO Dunn
Yes.
has an. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Nelly.
No, go ahead, Go ahead, Rob.
Go ahead, Ms. Morrow.
Sorry, through you, Mr. Mayor, and to you, Mr. Clark. I have been in communications with our auditor regarding that note to the financial statements. Actually, I mentioned, we started discussions last year when we finalized our 22 financial statements, and we are looking at removing that note. So we should see something when we review our 2022 financial statements.
Thank you very much. CO Dunn, did you want to add anything to that?
And certainly not, Mr. Mayor.
Okay.
Addresses the question from Councillor Clark.
Okay. Any other questions on this matter? Seeing none, I'll call the vote. All in favor? Opposed? And that is carried, Madam Clerk. And now may we have a motion for draft motion item 11D.
Moved by Hutchison, seconded by Clark. Be it resolved that report CS 2024-08, Jeanette Teeter, Deputy Clerk, and Sherry Noel, Clerk's Services Assistant, RE 2024 Oro-Medonte Citizen and Ontario Senior of the Year Awards be received and adopted. That Delise, Mr. Mayor, I'm not sure if you know the pronunciation.
Is it Hutchison?
Dallas, Delise, Hutchison, be approved by Council as the recipient of the 2024 Oro-Medonte Citizen of the Year Award, as noted by the Citizen Senior of the Year Advisory Group through the approved voting process. That Bruce Chappelle be approved by Council as the recipient of the 2024 Ontario Senior of the Year, as voted by the Citizen Senior of the Year Advisory Committee through the approved voting process. That staff proceed accordingly to arrange the two award the award recognition ceremonies, and that the recipients be notified of Council's decision under the Mayor's signature. I tried to read two sentences in one.
Yep. No, well, thank you very much, and congratulations to Ms. Hutchinson and Mr. Chappell. You make it sound much better. Chappelle's got that flair to it, Madam Clerk. So, is there any comments on this that anyone wishes to raise? Then I'll call the vote. All in favor? Opposed? That is carried. And Madam Clerk, I take it we'll be having an evening where they will come to the chamber and we'll present them with their award at a later date. Yes. Thank you. Okay, so Reports of municipal officers for information only, we have none. Reports of members of council. Does any member of council of their township partners or agencies that they represent have any updates at this time? Councillor Hutchison.
Thank you, Mayor Greenlaw. Through you, had the pleasure of attending the Severn Sound Environmental Association Annual Environmental Champion Rewards and Partners reception last week. And it was very nice to see Mr. David Hawk recognized. I'm sure a lot of people know who Mr. Hawk is. He's been writing a column in Aurelia Matters on environmental matters for many, many years. And so it was really nice to see him receive such a prestigious award. And there were also some other awards granted that evening. A young man by the name of J.J. Mateg took home the Student Environmental Champion Award for his work at St. Teresa's High School in Midland. He's been instrumental in schoolyard tree planting and cleanups and raising more than $300 in e-waste recycling to purchase bird and bat houses for his school. So he was also recognized along with the community association at Fairlane Lake, who's done a lot of work with regards to algae, the blue algae blooms, and controlling that within their area. So it was an excellent day and evening, and I was really honored to participate. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any other updates of committees of council? None? Okay, so we'll now move on. May we have a draft motion for item 13B, Madam Clerk?
Moved by Bard, seconded by Lavoie. Be it resolved that the verbal information presented by Councillor Bard, request for support of OEB decision to end subsidies for natural gas pipelines be received, and that the letter be sent under the mayor's signature.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Councillor Bard is going to provide some comments regarding this matter.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mayor, through you to the floor. And just to provide some background as to the importance of the Ontario Energy Board's decision to end ratepayer-funded subsidies for new gas expansion projects and the need for the Ontario government to allow the OEB's decision to stand. So the why, overturning the OEB decision will result in higher costs for natural gas for customers. Overturning the OEB decision will lead to more carbon emissions at a time when we urgently need to reduce them. Overturning the OEB decision will eliminate choice for homeowners in new subdivisions. So just to clarify, this isn't just a provincial issue. This is a municipal issue, also a federal issue, a global issue. At the local level, our governments have influence on about a half of Canada's greenhouse gas emissions. So local governments need to be part of this solution. And just kind of interesting timing that yesterday there was a successful court challenge in Switzerland by a group of people. Okay.
Senior women.
Okay, so if I'm going to specify, yes, women that are over 70 years old, that government inaction violated rights to a healthy life. So just a side note, they estimate that, not from this case, but estimates say that 8 to 9 million people die prematurely every year due to the effects of climate change. So just to get into the climate change, just in this situation, burning natural gas releases methane. Methane accounts for approximately 25% of all greenhouse gas emissions and up to 1/3 of the greenhouse gas emissions in Ontario. And methane is approximately 25 times more effective at trapping heat than carbon dioxide is. And heating accounts for approximately 19% of Ontario's greenhouse gas emissions. And most of the new homes planned for Oro-Medonte will be connected to natural gas for heating. So 2030 greenhouse gas reduction targets of 30% are in place, below 2005 emissions. And this is only 6 years away. And we, as a country, have pledged to net zero target of 2050, which is only 26 years away. So natural gas must be phased out because it is inconsistent with all of these climate targets. So options, heat pumps, they're their upfront charges are a little bit higher, but their operating costs are much lower. And some people are making this choice similar to the EV markets, and they're paying a little bit more upfront. And this option has been taken off the table with the reversal of the opposition to this decision. The point being that we need to do things differently now to reduce carbon emissions. So the OEB decision of number 2022-200 from December 21st, their decision helps lower energy bills and encourage heating systems that are consistent with climate targets. So to have a decision that has a financial benefit and an environmental benefit is quite refreshing. And it should be noted that the OEB is an independent regulator of Ontario's electricity and gas sector. They are primarily a consumer protection organization, not an environmental body. So their decision basically came down to ending ratepayer funded subsidies for gas line pipeline expansion projects effective 2025. And this OEB decision is at risk of being overturned by the provincial government and Bill 165 is at second reading. So the urgency of bringing this forward now. Notable from the decision from the OEB stated that the usual way of doing business is not sustainable. So currently, the costs of these expansion projects are borne by the customers, and the revenue horizons to recoup these costs of these fossil fuel expansion projects from the customers is about 40 years, and increases in construction costs recently have these projects exceeding this 40-year recovery mark. So when we're looking at being net zero in 26 years and we're talking about recovering your costs from these projects in 40 years, it doesn't add up. So the OEB was very concerned that these recovery horizons have also not addressed the stranded costs of energy transition that is underway. More and more customers will be leaving as more environmentally friendly options to heat homes become available at a competitive price. This will leave fewer customers in the future left to cover the costs of current expansion projects. The OEB wants to protect consumers from higher long-term costs by charging connection fees upfront instead of having existing customers subsidize these projects. So currently, developers do not bear the full upfront costs associated with expanding this infrastructure to service their new subdivisions. That's put onto the consumers. The change to upfront would also give developers more control over the design based on customer choice and would encourage developers to consider more eco-friendly and economical alternatives like heat pumps. So the question being asked, is gas being forced on people? So currently homeowners in new subdivisions have no choice. Their home is hooked up to gas infrastructure that they are to pay off over 40 years. Also, they have a gas furnace in their home that may be very expensive to retrofit to more environmentally friendly options, either now or in the near future. Retrofits are often funded by taxes. These tax-funded incentives would not be necessary if decarbonization measures are part of the initial construction process. The status quo is taking choice away from the future homeowners. So I know you want me to wrap up. The status quo subsidy is bad for existing gas customers because they pay the subsidy through higher energy bills. The status quo subsidy is bad for new home buyers because it encourages developers to install gas equipment that's more expensive to operate. The status quo subsidy is bad for the environment because it encourages fossil fuel use. Eliminating the status quo subsidy is a win-win-win for existing customers, new home buyers, and reducing carbon emissions. We need to bend this curve drastically. Current estimates have emission cuts as 90% of the solution. The longer we wait, the less effective emission cuts will be. We must make big gains in reducing emissions now. The OEB decision will help lower energy bills for existing customers, improve the affordability for new home buyers, and encourage heating systems that are consistent with climate targets. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any questions or comments regarding? So just for clarity, the request is to deliver a message to,
So I, that we send a letter expressing our support for the decision of the Ontario Energy Board to end the gas pipeline subsidy and ask the Ontario government to allow that decision to stand.
okay, thank you. Okay, and who, is there anyone, a specific list of individuals that you want to ensure?
So there are a number of municipalities that have started this, have done this, and I would like to see to follow suit with a letter to the president of AMO, Colin Best, to Premier Doug Ford, the Minister of Energy, Todd Smith, and the Minister of Finance, Peter Bethenfeldy.
Okay. Thank you, Madam Clerk, and you have? Okay,
That will be a friendly amendment to the motion.
okay, thank you. Councillor Clark?
No, thank you. I think I appreciate your passion, Mr. Bard, and I think it's worth pointing out that this is something we have to start making progress on now. Growth pays for growth has been always the mantra of the provincial government, not existing customers paying for new growth, and I think that's exactly what the OEB is trying to do, is to have new growth pay for new growth, not existing residences. There are challenges from a logistical perspective with regard to heat pumps, especially in our climate, but at the same time, there are steps that can be taken to mitigate those risks. So overall support, and thank you, Councillor Bard.
Okay. Thank you. I'm just asking, would it not be appropriate to make sure that the MPs or MPPs locally are copied on that as well?
I would not be opposed to that and would appreciate that recommendation. Thank you. I hadn't considered that.
Yeah, thank you.
Mr. Mayor, we will just take, that will be staff direction. I won't add
Okay,
those items to the motion.
Yep.
We'll just in the event that we leave somebody out, staff will take it as direction.
I appreciate that. Deputy Mayor Lavoie?
Yes, thank you very much. I'd like to thank Councillor Bard for his motion as well. I think it's well overdue. I think ultimately the carbon industry receives a substantial amount of subsidies through consumer means. So I think free market can settle this out as efficiently as anything else, and we'll let that proceed. Thank you once again.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Okay, if there's no other questions, then I will call the vote. All in favor? Opposed? That is carried. So that brings us to announcements. Are there any announcements anyone would like to make at this time? Councillor Young?
Thank you, Mayor and Lori. Just going to mention the pancake breakfast again at Carly Community Hall on Saturday. And it's the old Carly Schoolhouse, which is located between the 8th line and 9th lines on Wardminster Road. Again, it's pancakes and sausages, juice and tea and coffee, that sort of thing. So it's well attended every year. So I suggest if you are going to get there early, and it's really a chance to meet your neighbors there in the community. So it's a good time. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Young. Councillor Hutchison?
Thank you, Mayor Greenlaw, through you. Well, first of all, I'll clarify, yes, I am a woman, and no, I'm not 70 years old. I would like to announce that once again, the Cassell family is arranging their fundraiser in honor of their daughter, Amanda. Smiles for Amanda, Infinity Tea and Beyond is going to take place this Saturday, the 20th of April, from 1 o'clock till 3 at the Cornerstone Church in Orillia. This year, the funds will be donated to support the Canadian Food Grain Bank, and you can register for this in advance. Registration ends at the end of this week, and you would go to the website Infinity, and that's TEA, and Beyond at eventbrite.ca. chief.ca, or you can contact me and I can forward you the contact information. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Hutchison. Yeah, I attended that in the past. I will attend it again. It's an amazing event, and the parents have really carried on the legacy of their daughter. So, and also I will see you and Carly on Saturday. It's a great event. So it is a great way to get to know your neighbors in the rural area of Carly. So any other at this time? Well, I'll wrap it up then by announcing something. We are going to be, because of the higher than average temperatures this winter and reduced snow load, we are going to lift our half load season as of April 17th, which is great because it's a great benefit for the aggregate pits as well as the construction and building that take place in the area. So it'll allow people to get building their homes in the short season we have to build homes in this country. So that's something that I think I appreciate. I know we reached out to operations a month ago when it was a nice day, hoping that we could get some relief. And thank you, Mr. Binns, with working with county and the other municipalities, as it's been a collective effort in order to lift it around this area. Yes. That'll help the school move along quicker, yes. Okay, so the consent agenda, is there any items that need to be pulled from the consent agenda that need further discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, may we have a motion for the consent agenda?
Moved by Hutchison, seconded by Young. Be it resolved that the staff recommendations with respect to the items listed under consent agenda correspondence be adopted as printed.
All in favor? Opposed? That is carried. We have no communications or petitions this week. Notice of motion. Councillor Clark has provided a notice of motion to be considered at this regular council meeting. May we have the motion for this item, Madam Clerk?
Moved by Clark, seconded by Bard. Whereas public participation in statutory public meetings related to zoning matters is crucial for the democratic process and the development of our municipality. Whereas the Municipal Act and the Planning Act prescribe minimum standards for public notices, but do not preclude municipalities from adopting practices that enhance engagement and transparency. Whereas it is in the public interest to ensure that individuals who take the time to comment on statutory public meetings are kept informed about the outcomes of the process in which they are involved in a manner that is proactive and inclusive. Now therefore be it resolved that the municipal staff be directed to conduct a review of practices adopted by other municipalities in Ontario regarding the notification of individuals who have made comments during statutory public meetings related to zoning matters. This review should focus on practices that exceed the legislative requirements, particularly in items in terms of methods of notification, e.g. email, mail, SMS, public postings, timing and frequency of updates provided to commenters, clarity and comprehensiveness of the information provided, use of digital platforms and social media for enhanced engagement, and any innovative practices that foster greater public participation and transparency. Based on this review, the staff is to prepare a report that summarizes the findings of the review, highlighting best practices and innovative approaches to public notification, assesses the feasibilities, benefits, and potential challenges of implementing similar practices in our municipality, provides recommendations on how our municipality can improve its notification practices for individuals who comment on statutory public meetings related to zoning, with an emphasis on practices that are both effective and efficient. Be it further resolved that this motion and its directions affirm our municipality's commitment to enhancing transparency, accountability, and public participation in the planning and development process.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Everyone's heard the motion. I will open the floor at this time for any comments. or questions? Councillor Clark.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, through you. First off to the clerk, thank you so much for reading that so eloquently. I know it was a lot of words. So in not so many, I will do my best to summarize the fact that we want to encourage residents to participate in public practices, in public meetings, in public events, in council meetings, and we want to make sure that we're providing them both we're being provided the feedback and they're being provided the update as well in an effective and efficient manner. We can always strive to seek better ways, and I can appreciate that this may take staff time, but I think overall they will come back hopefully with a report that will provide some innovative strategies for us to engage with the public as it relates to zoning and the development of our communities. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Clark. Councillor Young.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. I want to just thank you for bringing this forward, Dave. It's something that's, Councillor, that's needed, in my view, and certainly keeps the lines of communication open between members of this council and members of the public, the residents of this community, and that's one of the reasons why we all sit here today on promises we made to them, transparency and accountability. That's about as much as I want to say on that, but it's so important to acknowledge what they send in, whether it be letter or email or what is said here in the council chambers to all of us, but it's so important that they understand that we hear them, you know. So thank you again for bringing it forward. Again, it was overdue.
Thank you very much, Councillor Young. Any other comments? No. Thank you very much, Councillor, for bringing this forward. I agree. We can always improve. We can always do things better, and we need to push ourselves to do things better, and this is a step in the right direction. So with that said, I will call the vote. All in favor? Opposed? That is carried, Madam Clerk. May I have a motion for the draft bylaw under item 18, please?
Moved by Hutchison, seconded by Young. Be it resolved that bylaw number 2024-040, a bylaw to authorize the execution of a co-owner and development agreement between the Simcoe County District School Board and the Township of Oro-Medonte, be read a first, second, and third time. Passed, be engrossed by the clerk, signed and sealed by the mayor.
Thank you. Members of council, any comments or questions on this? No. I want to thank all the hard work and the dedication to this. Mr. Benz, this has been a long project, and I know you can't build it fast enough, but you know, at least we have broken ground and we're heading in the right direction. So I'll call the vote now. All in favor? Opposed? That is carried. We have no unfinished closed session items. May we have the motion for the confirmation bylaw, Madam Clerk?
Moved by Lavoie, seconded by Hutchison. Be it resolved that bylaw number 2024-042, being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the council meeting held on Wednesday, April 10th, 2024, be read a first, second, and third time. Passed, be engrossed by the clerk, signed and sealed by the mayor.
All in favor? Opposed? That is carried. And may we have a motion to adjourn, please, Madam Clerk?
Moved by Young, seconded by Lavoie. Be it resolved that we do now adjourn at 6:09 p.m.
Okay. All in favor? Opposed? That is carried. I want to thank everyone for attending tonight's meeting, and have a great week. Bye for now.